How many of you love Steve Jobs? How many of you used iPhone and you think it is creative? How many of you think when you were younger, you were more creative? At the time, your creativity has reduced? Most of you, isn't it? That is the question which goes through my brain, comes out every time when I think about it in the morning, every night when I sleep, I think about it. I've not got answers for this. I tried researching about it. Every time I go to my office, I look at the same repetitive things that we do. For example, our Toastmasters meeting also when I come down, they start with a standard practice of saying the structure, how it will be, and how everyone should speak. So there is a very genuine structure to it. I'm not saying creativity has to be destructive always. I'm not saying creativity has to be away from the normal being. All I'm trying to say is creativity sometimes induces fear in the mind. I'll try to give the reasons for it when I speak about it. Let's have an example of Malcolm McLean. He was, in 1937, a trucker. He used to take his truck from New Jersey to North Carolina. And while taking, he would see every time he drives the same way, he goes to the same place, the truck takes a lot of time to be unloaded, and a lot of time to be loaded again. Do you know, this guy gave an idea to his company. He went back and said, you know what, this truck need not be offloaded so many times because you can just make a container out of it. Take it off, let me go. Right? It doesn't happen. He will have to wait till another 13 years. In 1950 is when his idea was actually understood by the human mind, and the company is actually started using containers and ships. He is the father of containers and ships. I owe him thanks because of him, my luggage has come from Bangalore all the way to Singapore, all the way to Brunei now, safe and in one shape. This may not look like creativity to you because you would say, hey, this took 13 years, how is it creative? Because for me, creativity is not the eureka moment, it just happens and oh yeah, it's creativity. For me, I think creativity is a long haul, slow process which needs some persistence and it needs a lot of effort. I was listening to Robin the other day. He said he learned photography not as an art. He learned it by persistently trying it and doing it every time, isn't it? He does it every time, isn't it? Okay, now, I tried thinking about it, and there are three things which come to my mind out of so many other reasons why this creativity is such a big challenge. Why are we not, all of us are not creative? There must be something stopping us, isn't it? Over a period of time, you yourself said that with age, you have reduced your creativity, isn't it? What is stopping you from that? The reason that I think could be, and there are three reasons which I think. First is, we hold on to our old beliefs. Because as I said, creativity is a change. Change is dangerous. Change is untested. Because it is untested, you always want to repeat what you've always done. Because there's an element of embarrassment related to it, isn't it? If I fail, then what? Because guarantee of success is not with creativity. It's always with a risk. All I'm trying to say here is, first, we hold on to things very, very firmly. I'll take another example there. Albert Einstein gave a theory of relativity in 1905. It's some theory of physics, okay? In that time, people didn't understand. It stands still in 2015 now. It is more than 110 years his theory sustains. You know what happened that time? When he presented, people were silent, just like this. And when he finished, the chairperson actually got up and said, what shit is this? He actually said that. And there was a group of authors, there were 100 authors who wrote a book against him. You know what the book is titled? You can actually search for it on the Google. It says 100 authors against Einstein. Because what he said It was a creative change of the human mind. Everyone has been saying something and he suddenly said, no, it is something else. That's where this new idea came into picture. So, with time, we hold on to things. We should not hold on to things. We should let the changes to happen. Second thing is, we have, consistency is always rewarded. Consistency is always rewarded. That's my point number 2. Why is consistency always rewarded? You will notice that the changes as you try to do, okay, let's take an example. In your office, when you go, how many times does your boss respect when you give a new creative solution? He would say, hey, I told you this, can you try it? This is how we do it. How many times has your teacher given you marks for an answer which you think is right, but is not part of the curriculum? Right? So that's the point, isn't it? My third reasoning that I think what makes us not creative is what stops us from being creative is that we have incentives to be not creative. As it is said, our companies want that we go through the businesses. We have a vision for 20 years. We have a vision for 30 years. But what do we reward our employees with? We reward them with, what did you earn in this quarter? That's very short term, isn't it? You need to look 20 years down the line. You need to look short term. Same with our friends. Our friends, we like those who are very repetitive. You don't like anyone who changes frequently, isn't it? This applies to all the politicians or bureaucrats or even the CEOs of companies. You would not like anyone who changes. Right? For me, change agent comes through creativity. When you think something different is when the changes start happening. With these 3 points, I think creativity is not a eureka movement. It is not like, hey, it happened. And there are many things which stop us from being creative. As I said, creativity is stopped by our systems, and we inherently have problems with creativity. I'll just kind of stop here by saying a small line by Roland Lyons. He says that the poets are good creators in the meadows and garrets and farms and trees and butterflies. But you can't make them work in a line where you have to, in an industry, they can't be as good, right? So creative people have their own areas and they can only be successful in those areas. So that's where I end my speech.